Let's call on Denebal Gedi, Speaker, and Procyon. This is the funniest thing. Right now is the Soul Hour, and Venus hasn't ingressed yet. Mars hasn't turned retrograde yet. But somebody had the nerves when the moon is conjuncting Denebal Gedi, when ascendant on Spica, and when I meet heaven on Procyon, to try and curse the way I am seen. Thank you for doing it in the worst timing possible. Back to sender, of course. Could you imagine that? Trying to invert justice when the ascendant is on Speaker that denotes justice. Meet heaven on Procyon, which is denucleification. Mind you, human trafficking, kidnapping, violation of willing consent, ritual abuse in children or in women is causing manifestation of what? Mass destruction. Is above, so below. Is within, so without, right? Trying to inflict something on my within so that I would see it outside backfires if it's not benefic. And the moon is on the Nevalgadi, which sextiles Aries in Aries. We could call on Andromeda to reconcile for when we've been dealing with intense corruption, prolonged corruption. Anything to do with the dream state, because this is the moon. Any attempts to harm our housing, our lunar connection, our matrilineal connection, the way we are seen and perceived in the world. It was done on a Mars hour, by the way. And yet the midheaven was just applying to Procyon. Some people don't like that we don't want to nuke entire Earth. Then about this equal resources distribution. People didn't want me to have support when I escaped human trafficking and kidnapping, mind you. Idonevo, Itamar Yaron didn't want me to have support. They didn't want me to be seen as sane, even though the cure for schizophrenia is housing first, independent of ability to work, and to believe the testimony of the patient. This is the science, not a pyramidal or extrapyramidal. And even though medication like risperidal, Seroquel, Zefrexa, Abilify have been proven class lawsuits upon class lawsuits to harm, to risk, to cause complications including death. Anybody who is prescribing these is doing crime against humanity by now. The trauma of kidnapping is cured by housing and setting that is compatible with claustrophobia and the agoraphobia. A place needs to be so safe that even if the door is not locked, it's not a problem. Shelter where everything is taken from the person. Why did Peter R. de Vries disagree to be locked in a claustrophobic structure? let's talk about this. Why did Peter R. de Vries did not agree to have his phone taken, him kidnapped by the police, defended in a way that would put him in claustrophobic structures? He was so willing to even have no security at all. And indeed, he was assassinated. What do you think will happen to Geert Wilders today? He no longer needs the safety house. Do you think he will be able to come out to any closed room, including the Tweede Kamer, once he sees freedom? These are famous examples that you can hold. Why do you think wealthy people buy islands? Because they need, I'm not talking about Epstein Islands, because they need security all the time, and they're claustrophobic. You get claustrophobic from that. So yes, when you are more famous, you're more surrounded. And the antidote is bigger house, bigger space, buy an island so you can walk outside. It's not necessarily greed. It's desire to be in a space that is not claustrophobic and not agoraphobic. Everybody saw that in COVID. When I was locked down in COVID twice in a student apartment, which means a room, which was for me luxury room because I had shower, I had a bathroom, I had tiny kitchen. I didn't have to fight about the dishes with any roommate. For me, it was luxury. I'm half Dutch. We wouldn't get more than that in Netherlands. But when there were 2 lockdowns, to be in that one room for 2 weeks, it was obvious that either I get a bigger place or I jump off a building. Because the people that told you to lock down, you were locked down while they were traveling to Epstein Island. Were Ida Nevo and Itamar Yaron traveling to an Epstein Island or something of that sort while we were on the lockdown? I don't know. It seems they were pretty invested. In trying to put other people through, constantly being filmed. It is very dirty to film someone constantly, right? This is a good time for me to talk to general public, okay? The moon on Denevalgeti, it's a ruling Pluto, Saturn in Pisces, is a great time to talk about academic structure, medical field. When all of that is intermeshed with hidden codes that work on inversion. So let's say I would manifest a good life, a housing that I'm safe in, okay? They would come through the dream state, through witchcraft, manifest the inversion of that. Try to flip. And then I get to, if it happened to you, okay, let's say you listen to Abraham Hicks, everything works in my favor, da 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 da. They invert that. Then what happened? You don't know. You start believing that manifestation doesn't work, right? Then you look to astrology. Then you see, okay, planets speak up and manifest, and they try to invert justice. What a person would think, oh, astrology doesn't work. You go to a psychologist, and with a trained practitioner, is trying to give you the inversion of therapy. Then you go to think, oh, psychology doesn't work. And then what works is to look at the hidden things that they tell you that scientifically you are imagining. If you talk about witchcraft, we say, well, you are a witch, right? And then people think, and then they would masquerade as the single white woman. A white woman is okay to hate. It's not racist. It's not cultural appropriation to hate a white woman, okay? I'm not talking about a Karen, I'm talking about the white woman. Some people are Karens, it's true. But, okay? When in fact a man is doing that. So even women began to think, oh my God, what all these women, what they want, my business, my husband, my this, my that. No, they want to stop being tortured. So they try to channel and they don't know where the channeling is coming from. That's it. End of story. You do it fertility magic, darling. Okay? In a world that wants to confiscate the ability of women to bring children. And then you tell people to get a vaccine or a booster shot. And that's okay. I mean, that's on you. You go to a doctor, you get depressed, or you get, I don't know, physical disease. You get a pill, right, for it, okay? Doesn't seem malefic. But what you get is the inversion of medicine. Beta blockers are the inversion of medicine. So what you say, medicine doesn't work. Did you know that there is medicine that causes terminally ill cancer patients to have a remission, to have withdrawal in the disease, and then budget stops. So you get chemotherapy. Or you get that either I don't know what was this thing that is actually causing what it came to treat. They legalize weed for medical uses, okay, for people who have tremendous pain. So what you get from the government is the inversion of weed. Then you have to go to the drug dealer. And then they take down the drug lords. Okay? When Peter was helping a state witness, it wasn't because he had something against Tachi. When Peter ran for politics, he said, the war on drugs is lost. It's a public health issue situation. And he spoke against the WHO. Now, we can agree with him, we can disagree with him. Of course, when people use certain drugs to drug women and then torture them, which is used by also juristic system and intelligence system, then of course, perhaps tracing the drug would assist, right? But it's also when people need psychedelic drugs to deal with, I don't know, solving true crime and seeing shattered bodies all the time and not being able to talk about a fraction of what you see. Remote viewers are used to target individuals instead of to solve crime. Okay? Ezekiel the Freeze talking is saying, we can only take, for the Peter the Freeze Foundation, we can only take concrete tips. But it's okay if somebody is channeling this, it's okay, but we cannot take this. And you see, she's kind of like helpless on this topic. It's not that she doesn't know that this is how you solve crime with remote viewing. Why can't they? Because there's limitation to what they can do. People have families. And this was #1 true crime show. I don't remember if it was only in Europe or I think even globally. Is that for Slachafer? #1 show. Okay. So do you think that that Peter defended the state witness, the crown witness, because he was against drugs or trying to take down drug lords or organized crime? No. He understood that WHO is a bigger deal, but the state witness had a family. And he wanted to see that this... and what happens because the state witness is considered a rat, not by Tachi. Tachi is one thing, by the crown, by the global intelligence. So Peter knew that. He wanted to defend that guy and see how they run this, what they leak. You see, the guy is 3 years dead and still being framed. This is why I talk about this. And when I talk about this, I wake up in, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, at the worst time impossible, but it was Mars hours, so they're giving everything to try to change the way that I'm perceived in the world. And so you're given the inversion of justice. The drug lord is what threatens you. A global health organization coming to put electrodes in people's head and shock them to oblivion while raping them and calling this rehabilitation, medicine, psychiatry, psychology, heart condition, whatnot. And you're worried about Marengo. Okay? Entire Netherlands does not have any lawyer office that defends only sex offenses victims. All of them defend sex offenses perpetrators. Now, perpetrators need legal defense, but there's conflict of interest when your office does that and that. Something about trust. Entire Netherlands. Okay? I don't care what Qasem gave to what the government official, the same government official that wouldn't do impeachment when we had the 1100. Everybody talks Rutte. Rutte was prime minister. The 1100 was entire Tweede Kamer. Okay? Everybody cares about Qasem bribing somebody. But let's just face it. Do we have an office that represents sex offenses victims and only victims? The Freeze in Spain decided not to not to train on this. But you could say, okay, but do we have a lawyer office represented only victims? Well, it's going to be a problem because if you're a Supreme Court in Netherlands, you have to do snuff films. Don't believe me? Watch The Permanent Murders by Tutje Oort. It's in Dutch, believe me, you will understand. The orange car kidnaps a child that goes through the JFK down to Churchill Street. JFK, Peter the Freeze. No Peter the Child. I know, same boat called Peter. Wonder why? Oh, it's a common name. Of course. Then it goes to Churchill Street. Who do we know with the Churchill picture in their office? Today, Geert Wilders. How old were Geert Wilders and Peter with that? Quite young. Geert is even a couple of years younger than Peter. What's the other Churchill that we have? Oh, that's Mark Rutte. Okay. He has a lot of names. Trump Whisperer, Teflon. But you see, all began with a true crime researcher, Peter de Vries, wanted to take a look into why do judges put the wrong murderer, sometimes for pedophilia, in jail. So it was given a live example, and then he had to vouch for a judge that does that. But when a judge, a Supreme Court judge, is also intelligent and he has to do this, and it's all part of secret society. You go into that masonry, you're initiated to intelligence. This is why it's secret. What do you think is secret? The fact that you run your Kundalini energy upside down? Have some good orgasms? No, it's secret because when you do this thing to siphon energy from people, to deplete energy from people, to work on the destruction of people, to do magic that is painful, then it's secret. Otherwise, why would it be a secret? Oh, people can invert that. Why would they do that? Only people that are enslaved would do that, right? Or that are enslaved and the only way out is for them to enslave others. So they believe in black and white, okay, perpetrator or victim world. But the sexuality doesn't work that way. It only works on equity, willing consent, the fluids, the consecration. It's a consecration, yes, it doesn't only work on willing consent. Willing consent is only works on equity. You have to abolish slavery. That's the point. But the cult gives you the inversion of teaching. This is why people came from the cult. They thought that the snake goddess is some seductress that want to pull men out. No, she was a woman. Was very sensual, very beautiful, but she was raped, not believed, murdered. Her rage is used as protective talisman. If you don't know that, and you do rape raves and human sacrifice for that snake goddess, that is a ritual satanic use, you're getting the inversion of this goddess. Same thing with Judaism. You get people call the husband Baal, and they have for the marriage they have to show red blood on the white carpet. That's not how you have first time sex. That's the inversion, it's rape. And this inversion, I saw synagogues in the shape of a pyramid. It's inversion of Judaism. Now, I'm not saying Judaism, I don't know Judaism. Okay? We don't get to see Judaism. I know if I read the Bible, I say God says to Abraham, take your only child to sacrifice. Then he comes to do that, and it sounds very crazy. Then God says, hey, stop. Don't do that. And Abraham is finding it challenging to believe God that he doesn't want a child sacrifice. That's the Bible. Okay? Then Abraham is like, well, something. God says, I don't know. What do you need a dumbfuckery for? Abraham says, a piece of my penis. You say it sounds quite creepy, but if that is what will help you, then The piece that is difficult for you to beat clean, that is okay. I can take that, okay? But then people need that to, it's the male clitoris. And God says, okay, you know what? I take a lamb. You eat lambs, right? You take a lamb. But when you sacrifice this lamb, you eat from that. Okay? And Abraham insists, you say, okay, one time you sacrifice, you don't eat for that. But you sacrifice, you eat from that. You don't waste food. This is the God that I know from the Bible that was revealed to Abraham. Then he gave an age. It is Abraham. Evra otam. Abraham. Okay, I will create them. That's what I know. That's when I read the Bible. That's what I'm a secular person. But you know, people that read Bible all day, you should know that. What do you do in the cheder if you don't know that? That's the scripture. You don't. Then of course you can disagree with the scripture, but you need to know the scripture. And wasn't God angry at the sacrifices for God Baal? Why do we say husband? We say Baal. It is very weird. To me, it is very weird. And I have a rabbinical juristics. If you get married in Israel, if you got married outside and you want to divorce, you need to go to the rabbinical institution. My parents, they got married, civil wedding, but they got divorced. They had to go to the rabbinical institution. I don't know why. My mother's husband was Dutch. I don't know why. The family, they hanged garlic because they thought my mom was a witch. Should have not sent your son to whatever, I don't know. Place where he would get abused there by a woman, but whatever. Doesn't even know that I know that. Okay. So as you can see, the church is not less problematic sometimes. But I grow garlic. So it's good against witchcraft. So you see, you get the inversion of religion. And you get the inversion of activism. Feminism, you get the inversion of feminism. We still have a fund called Forum Michal Sela. They say they give technological solutions to women that are at risk of violence. How about housing? The women are at risk of being jailed and locked and beaten, right? How about the housing that is claustrophobia and agoraphobia compatible and is safe? Would you give him a Tamagotchi? Give that to the husband. Do something else than bother his wife. If you can give a Tamagotchi to Itamar Yaron and Ido Nevo and the Miro Pele, that would be good. Maybe they will do with the Tamagotchi. It's nice and you take care of it. That's all. Yeah. And yeah, trying to inflict harm on the way I'm seen. You see it in the eyes, actually. Deplete resources. Why? Because they speak up against their abuse. They don't want people to get away from being enclosed, to being not believed, being isolated, being seen as crazy. Because that would expose what? What would it expose? And funny, why do I always get to talk about the assassination of Peter whenever that Idon was doing dumb fuckery? Why, when I remove that, I always get to talk about the assassination of Peter? What is going on? Peter, I know he spoke against WHO. That means that Ido and Itamar were in favor of WHO. Yes, they kidnapped people to city centers. They were asking me, what city affected you the most? The fuck does it matter? Sending a woman. You know, this is age of Aquarius. You can hide something only so much. But the dot connects because the people begin to connect. You work with the institutions in Aquarius land. The only thing I would say to institutions is you are cooperating with crime against humanity. It is punishable by death. I will not give further notice on that matter. But you need to know that the reason you're not getting the good medicine, you say this corruption is a particular type of corruption. These people worship, they're enslaved to that. And because to be somewhere you have to be connected. To be connected, you go for the secret society. Once you're initiated to intelligence. You don't say, even if you're in the lodges, I don't consent, I never consented. They try to get you to consent in all kinds of weird ways. It's nothing, it's not consent. It's not informed consent. And I say it again, if you had a multi-card in Israel, or you did a multi-card in Israel, it's a bank that is not a bank card, it's outside the bank card, but it's by a credit card company. It's a daughter company of the bank. It's Leomi Credit of Leomi Bank. So if you did that, and around the years 2005 or 2006, you might be subjected to do class lawsuit, or I would prefer if you do individual lawsuits altogether, if you unionize, and each person, okay, share funding. I'm willing to contribute to that. If I have, I don't know, a few money for my welfare, I'm willing to donate to people that want to do that. I was working, I didn't participate in the corruption, and I didn't participate in having a multi-card. Because I don't see why I should not buy a house and a car with cash and travel with cash. For the way I was raised, when I have the money, I do. When I don't, I don't. And I should have the money because why the fuck not, right? Yes, a good worker should have the money. Said it in 2006, 2005, said it when I was 17. I said now when I'm 40. You're not supposed to. Your housing, your food is not supposed to be in danger. What you pay taxes for is that for everybody else is the same. Anyway, if you were told, עכשיו אני מסדירה לך מסגרת אשראי 400 שקל, okay? Basically, I'm repeating it in English for my English viewers. Somebody told you, now I've set in your monthly return to 400 shekels. Okay, if you think about you spend 4,000, 6,000, 5,000, return of 400. Then the next is like a loan with interest almost 20%. And you were told, and you might not even remember that. I want you to go over, if you ever had the card by Bank Leumi, multi-card, I want you to go over for your bank declarations for 2005, 2006. Can be that thing compounded, okay? It's a credit fraud. Because at the end of the conversation, people were supposed to say that, and it's a credit fraud. Okay? It's not related to the deal. It's not related to the card. I cannot give you a directive. Now I'm setting your monthly return 400. No, it's not default. You cannot avoid that. You see, if it's different, when I told people, They had the card when that was the business, okay? 400, and then they didn't know that, and then the rest is loan, and they were upset. I say, see, I renew your card right now. First 3 months or first year, no charge for the card, but you will have $9.90 commission for the card. But the thing that you now pay 400, now you can change your monthly return. Okay, the rest is with that interest. This is the interest that's offered you for the new card, the change your monthly return, so you can decrease for that loan. And so people say, yes, of course. I had a customer, I will never forget, her name was Shirley, my name is Shirley. She got pissed at me, I said, yes, I listened to you. You are correct. This is dumb fuckery. This is why I give you a card where you can change the monthly return. So instead of trying to market them, I said, yes, I renew for this card. I made declaration. And they can, because it's old card, it's not going to be valid. I renew the card instead of the card. Okay? So I could do that. They gave it to the customer service, to the this, to the that. They were thinking to close the place. But they gave us, it was a particular type of people that already had the dumb fuckery, and I gave them ability to change for the monthly return. So it was an opportunity. I knew the limitation of that opportunity because I created the opportunity. But if I was not given patents, if I was not given credits, if I was not given dividends, if nobody was talking to me when they were on the higher ups sitting, but thinking what to do next with this multi-card, when we ran out of that opportunity, then I was not included in the design of your credit product. Now you take a declaration and you say, now I set your monthly return. No, it doesn't work that way. Now I set your monthly return is credit fraud. Now I renew your card, which I genuinely do, and you will have increased opportunities to decrease your interest, is not credit fraud. That's the difference. Both is a declaration. What I take a sales conversation and I turn it into a customer service conversation. One is credit fraud. One, I took a sales conversation and I turned it into, it's not even upsell, it's a customer service. I call to let you know, your old card is dumb fuck, you're mad, and for a reason. This is a new card. You have to understand, there will be commission on the new card as of This is the commission, 990 shekels. But right now you're stuck with this 400. I want you to be able to have a bigger monthly return. Okay, that's why we're given that set of clients. So I don't say, hey, I called you about the multi-card. Everybody goes, poof, who cares? Fuck yourself. We hate your company. You fooled us once. Okay? I said, I called to renew your card. Now you're going to have ability to decrease the interest that you pay and preserve the client. Unfortunately, that group was previously credit fraud. It's different when you don't give credit to the person who made the script. Okay, this is what I did. It's the script. I was doing screenwriting at the time, but this was a script. It's a sales script. When people sell, they have a script that when they talk to client. So I changed the script. I wrote my own script. And then they said it for everyone. Lovely. I would love for customer service to make money. They required same requirements that we are, but they also required to give service and not get compensated. Okay, it's okay. I would love to them to make money, for the people to make money. People did not have enough sales. I would go and I make a couple of calls and I say, you see how you do it? Now you do it. That's teamwork. That's how you do with sales. Okay, when me and my mama was going back, trying to do Christmas in Europe with the car, it was not successful. We go back to Israel. It's November. Can't go by plane, we go by ship. But there's no ferries because it's fucking dangerous. So we go to one shipping company, say, oh, we don't have, it's too dangerous, and we don't have enough ships, ferries. But sit down, drink a coffee, we talk to our partners, to our colleagues. And for the colleagues, it's the competing company. And I was like, you just called it a competing company. He says, yes, it's no problem. Because to give a person that's stuck in the winter, to give them ferry is more important than to compete for what clients. You do that for me, I do that for you. We business, we work together. There's enough clients for all of us. On the contrary, the more good service we give, the more clients go. So one time this ferry, one time that ferry. And we're good. There's enough people. There's going to be even more people. But you see, when you take that and you make the inversion of credit. You see, if I give you credit, I sell you opportunity. Okay? I don't sell you a fraud. If I sell you opportunity, okay, you have ability to go for that opportunity. And I sell you smart things, okay? You don't take a leverage of this opportunity. I can sell you, for example, a credit card where you put a certain money, okay? You put a certain money and you save the money. What I charge you is commission for the card. I make a money from that commission, okay? Because if I do it smart, will be enough people would say, you save some money by yours, you can save some money for bike here, but here when you save money by me, I have a lot of price, you get a lot of good deals. You can have good deals. A lot of people will ask me directly when somebody would want a card and they say, how many points do I have with a flight? I know that I have no problem to sell them this card because they know what they're doing. This is how you make a money. You spend the money through me, I give you for these benefits. But the membership is cost some money. Then you improve upon your credit score, but your credit score is not supposed to matter. Your housing is not supposed to depend on your credit score. You can do fair banking. But nobody talked to me. Okay? So I had to say, Phil, please, I don't want to do this. Then we moved to another city, I've resigned. But if you have a multi-card and you were set 400 shekels, this is credit fraud. What I want you to do is not to do class lawsuits. It's the least amount of money you're going to get. Least amount of money you're going to get is class lawsuits. But we're going to provide jobs for lawyers so that they can begin to support sex offenses victims and not only perpetrators and pedophiles. Okay? But what you're going to do is you're going to gather around, gather money, and help each other make a litigation. When you have, 300,000 clients, each filing a lawsuit, believe me, next time the bank will calm down. How did we cancel for the masking? Okay? Well, people individually, everybody appealed. Everybody appealed. That was the beginning of Aquarius. Everybody, every single person appealed. Where they get it? 300 people, 300,000 people, okay, litigated for something that happens 2005, 2006. They understand that the waves are coming. And it's a tsunami. Okay? It's a tsunami. Want to know how you do fair banking like that? Not arresting Baron Rothschild and having concentration camps. Hitler tried to do this once, but he was also racist. What can you do? It didn't work. But now what Hitler didn't have, Hitler had Pluto in Cancer and Leo, and he used it to the best of the ability. National Socialism, Moon. Then we turn to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the power of the solitary lead there. Now Pluto is opposing that. So we have to turn to people by numbers. You say, but we are blocked, but we are this, but we are that. Well, of course, in the beginning, it's divide and conquer. But it's all don't be wary. Don't be afraid. I say, during the Me Too. And then what happened, I went to therapy, and there was this psychologist gave me inversion of therapy. For therapy, I got MK Ultra. And I said, my God, I'm so retired from speaking up about what happened in academia. I don't have time. I don't have power to talk about the DC tomorrow as well. But you see, when Pluto ingressed into Aquarius, I had to. I had to speak. And I had to. It doesn't mean I wanted to. I did. No, I didn't want it. I didn't want it. It needed to come out. And so the transit for the Mars opposition perfected, and for all these things, it was like, well, to get the assault out of me, I needed to speak. And so there was the refining of the message, and the refining of the message is very important. Why? Because at first I thought that this was, something molesting of patients. Then it seemed like there's something to do with children. I was like, oh my God, does he hurt children? Then I realized there is satanic ritual abuse. Then I realized satanic ritual abuse is used to create espionage and to create public figures. Then I realized that there's this global code. Then this global code is also intelligence. Then I realized it planned to enslave humanity and take away freedom from women. That coincided with why I said, why are he attacking my womb? Why is psychically attacking my womb? What does he want from my womb? Okay. And then there was 7th of October. And then a lot of psychologists and therapists saw in front of the patient sits, the psychologists, the therapists, see snakes coming from the head of the patients. What, are they all psychotic? All the therapists psychotic? All the psychologists psychotic? Everyone, all of them are psychotic? So why when the psychologists see snakes coming from the patient, they are not psychotic, but when the patient sees that, they are given risperidal, Zefrexa, olanzapine, and you get marketed. There's a groundbreaking research in, now it's electromagnetic. Well, you know what is electromagnetic? Non-invasive. Yes, there's nothing non-invasive about radiation, that's first. I'm going to leave it at that. There's nothing non-invasive about radiation. There are few things more invasive than changing the electricity of your brain. Before we do that, could we listen to the patient and give them housing first? It's different than, let's say, biofeedback, which I assume was also inverted. You gotta know the science. What is electromagnetic? What is the brain is electricity. That's the most invasive treatment you could possibly have. Bas van der Kolk. Okay? In the country that invented open dialogue, that means if you have a psychotic patient, they're not imagining, listen to them. And especially, we are living at the times, especially after COVID, where people say, oh, the intelligence are listening to my calls, and Edward Snowden exposed to us that you're not imagining either. Volt Safe. And now it's Starlink. Okay? So, when you see the clouds are sprayed, You see it when they're sprayed, and then you see the clouds suddenly have people documented all kind of weird shapes in the clouds. That's not channeling. And I take it back to Peter, because you think, oh, that Peter, you think he was such a saint. He was this, he was that, he was that, he was that. No, let's take it from another angle. You think that the person that no matter what the story, no matter what he was tortured or whatnot, it's very likely, that vouched for Joris Demming, that said for a woman that attacked the man who raped her, we can't help her because of evidence. That was never an issue. Okay. It says the war on drugs is lost. That person, when he speaks against the WHO, he was okay with Demming. Demming, wonderful guy, great guy, Demming, perfect guy, wonderful guy, Demming. Okay? I'm going to take it from that. Because otherwise you're like, yeah, you like Peter, you like this, you like that. Fuck that. The guy that says Demming's a wonderful guy. Salt of the earth. Okay? For that guy, when he speaks against the WHO, in Hebrew we say there's a sentence that says, Higiu mayim ad nafesh. Okay, so the water came all the way that the person, their soul won't survive if they don't speak. So imagine the level of corruption for this World Health Crown thingy, World Health Corona, that the guy that says Peter is salt of the earth, is a great guy, is a wonderful guy, says for this WHO, okay, now what was Demming, just so that you know what was Peter okay with. It's not that he was okay with necessarily, it's just like what Peter didn't, but when Peter picked his battles, and he picked the bigger fight, okay, what fight was he thinking the smaller battles? Supreme Court, listen to Hans Medma, Supreme Court rapes children, kidnaps, rapes, tortures, murders on film. I think it was Turkish boys, but it doesn't matter for the record. Allegedly, puts a guy, a drug lord that vouched for him, baby scene, in jail instead for pedophilia. Tortures women on tape doing a sex espionage. They torture them to program them to have sex with no love, but even very, very violent sex, so that they could use as espionage. It's all by Hans Medma testimony, and I try to believe him, right? It makes it impossible for anyone to investigate him, because he's Supreme Court judge. Nobody could investigate him. Hans Medma turned to Peter the Vries, he kept it. Okay, and that was Peter the Vries. Okay, there's nothing this guy couldn't do. That's why I say when a woman beats a rapist and says no evidence, you know. But the thing is, he picks his battles. Okay, he's not going to battle this Demming. You say, well, why is this Demming become small peanuts suddenly? Because what's unjust that he could do something about, he did. If there was an immigrant prostitute murdered, he would go all the way for Australia, be arrested for trespassing, because he come for police officer or for somebody that involved with this murder. Okay, so this is not a guy that wouldn't tend to crime. His career began with trying to see why judges put the wrong guy on murder. And then they took a child named Peter, and then for the child, his brother committed suicide because they blamed his brother for raping the kid. It was okay. So you think that guy that eventually says, so he picks the bigger battle. So when he asked about Demick, he said Demick is a wonderful guy, he's a great guy, wonderful guy, but Demick is fantastic. I said, but the WHO. Okay? So just to give you the perspective, that fight is like, what? If it's all the Supreme Court people in all the countries, why take one Demick? It's not going to solve your problem. Mo X of what was he? That's the problem. And this is to all the people that like me, if they saw Peter watching for them, it's like, Demick! On bended knee for Demick. Okay? But for 7.7 people watching this, that for Slagver. Okay? He took the bigger battle. Because if they take down this Demick, okay, they don't take down global Supreme Court code. What mafia killed the JFK? Well, he can't tell you everything. He was MK himself. He had to be. He wouldn't be able to do anything without being. What mafia took JFK? The same secret societies that he supposedly vouched for. The children of Malcolm X sued the CIA and FBI for the assassination. That was 2 weeks ago. Now to sue the CIA, to sue MK Ultra, I don't know what the guys do. Because to sue MK Ultra, you need to banish all their malefic mind control. And they do witchcraft. Peter couldn't do all that. But he told you for the WHO, got to either the vote shape-shift into to his son energy, trying to contact my energy. I see that it is given Ido Nevo. So I contact his son there after you as well. That's that MK Ultra. Okay? People inside, but that they are trapped in this dumb fuckery. They're dying to get it out. It attacks them. It entraps them. They torture them and they put them on film and whatnot, and they cut the film and do whatever they want to. So you have filmography on everybody. And now with AI, okay. But you see what inversions all along. It's because there is a cult that worship the inversion of something. And so this is so you come to think nothing is real. Yeah, we're a flying saucer in space and there's nothing around. Absolutely. All narratives controlled. And then people begin to be interested because it seems like the doctor has inversion of medicine, the psychologist has inversion of therapy, the manicure is inversion of manicure. Okay? What was it in... an Israeli guy argues with some student of... Ivy League student, I don't remember what was it, Oxford, Cambridge or something like that. And she tells him she can eat him without salt. There's so many arguments against Israel. There's an old shamanic teaching to say the way you treat the marginalized in society, for the crazy people, the women, the children, the disabled, you will have invasion. So the simple things you could tell them is Palestinian. We know that because we know we have problems in our society to treat the crazy people like that. They kill the women, they kill the this, they kill that. She could get the stage here. And then run off with Wilders. But anyway, she could tell him, well, if Israel got invaded, it's probably because you didn't listen to the women. It's probably because you didn't listen to the veteran. She could tell him that. No, she says, in Dresden and the bombings in Second World War, no Germans got killed. She's not to blame. That's the inversion of teaching that they taught her at Cambridge. Entire Dresden was built anew. Okay? And so everybody laughing at her, and she doesn't understand why. Because she got the inversion of teaching. That's simply put. You think about Galileo Galilei, the first person that says, and although it does move, okay, that argued with the church. You think about the great polarity between the church and science. It's artificial. It never had. Okay? It was never polarized. The funding is associated with the same cause that give dividends to the church. But the thing is, Leonardo da Vinci, he is the father of empiricism. And he says, I cannot argue with the channeling of the church. He was smart. But I see when just like my instructor said, as an MD, when I treat a patient, I read Feyerabend, I don't know how to treat a patient. In spirit and matter, we do go back to Feyerabend, I believe. But Larry Loudon is something that both me and my instructor could understand. And that is, there's the innovative science, and then there is the consensus, conservative. What's bridging that is technology. We're able to observe what we weren't able to observe before. And father of empiricism is why we care about empiricism in science, for the democration question of science. What is science? What is scientific? Is actually Leonardo da Vinci. And Leonardo da Vinci, why did I say do science like da Vinci? Because da Vinci was channeling, but he was smart. He says, I can't argue with the church. You channel this, I cannot argue with you. All I can say, when I look at the body of a person, this is what I see, and I painted here what I actually see in here. Now we have to bridge that with what you see. Okay, so he was channeling, okay? But he was empirically looking at things. And he began to come with technology of the camera. What was the camera? The camera gives you an inverted picture you have to flip back. Now, if you don't know, you have to flip the picture back. Then you don't get the picture. You get the inversion of the picture. So what you're being shown is very much like the camera obscura effect. But without knowing that you need to flip that picture upside down. And you get a little bit of the picture of justice. Going back to Marengo process, the state witness was a crown witness. So what do we know? we know that in the global intelligence by CIA agents, the people that press the buttons with the A-bomb, whether A-bomb drops or not, they press button and they never know if it's going to drop or not. They're not being told. The people who hold a gun to a leader to assassinate him, they're never told if it's a drill or not. Delano. What else do we know? What else do we know? We know that when you do channeling experience, there's going to be inversion on channeling. So if I got some omen from Peter, immediately there will be 100 voices in the background. Okay? And I would have to think which is which. What else do we know? We know that the state witness in the Marengo process was a crown witness. What else do we know? That guy, that drug lord, that killed some people, okay? Tachi, for the record, didn't want to go babysitting. So he looked for a lawyer that is not affiliated with representing pedophiles, particularly pedophiles. Doesn't find any. What else do we know? One scandal was when one woman attacked her rapist. Okay? Then they turned to Peter out the freeze because he was the guy you turned to at this point. He says, but there's no evidence, I can't help her. So if somebody is assaulted, sex crime victim, both boys, girls, no one to represent them without conflict of interest. What else do we know? Supreme Court judge, you cannot investigate them. They're all ex, so they also have diplomatic what? By the way, I'm probably eligible for diplomatic something for what they try to do to me. What else do we know? That when the guy defends the state witness, pictures of everybody involved in the litigation of in defending the state witness were leaked. Then Tachi has to put Peter on the they weren't unfamiliar. Okay, has to put Peter on the hit list. What else do we know? How did they know that Peter was going to go to RTL and going to come back at the same day, the same morning? Who knew about this? Was his phone tapped? Was somebody remote viewing, astral projecting? We don't take that into account. What else do we know? Peter was offered ultimatum. Either you get kidnapped claustrophobically and take even your ability to say, help, I'm kidnapped, I'm tortured. You take your phone, or you get no security whatsoever. Peter chose no security whatsoever. It wasn't a consent to be killed. He gets shot 5 times, takes 9 days to die. which happens, okay, it can be, you don't prolong the life if a person has been so injured and so on. But the thing is, the death was declared at 15 Yuli, when Hans Madma got acclamation. I think it was from the UN. Peter the Free spoke against WHO. What Hans Madma has to expose is how the WHO operates with the study case of Mole X for this Jorin the Mink. If you believe him, and I believe him. So Peter was going for the bigger battle, WHO, but Hans Madma also exposes. What else do we know? For the cult of betrayal. They work to see who will you betray. So Peter was married in a style of commitment that is, he have married for years, had 2 children, now they have children. Style of commitment that is non-monogam, okay? Not monogam. Why? Because you cannot accuse one another of betrayal. If you said that, both of us can have affairs. What else do we know? So for the woman that wanted him to commit to her or whatever, I don't know what was there, it was not, it would ruin both of you. But what else do we know? They made a Peter betray Tachi. Okay? You have to have connections in the light and in the dark. You cannot do true crime without being vouched for. Now, who are the people who are really targeting individuals and kidnapping them and torturing them and trading them for sex espionage? Is that Tachi? I don't know. I mean, okay, I don't know to what level is organized crime organized with the police. And I know that when I was supposed to be kidnapped for human trafficking, she told me it's only soft drugs. And I'm like, but soft drug is legal in Netherlands. What's the problem? And she was working for the Pink, this Galopina girl. Work entire shift with her. And she says, we work with the police and with the people, we have the people who check the tickets. So basically, if you run off and you have to travel back because you don't have money, we're going to make you big problems. So all the transportation and the police. Indeed, when I went to the police, nobody wanted to help me. It was this one woman that later came out and gave me for this eye. Oh, unfortunately, I had some 30 euros that I drove a van that's cool. It looks like a dead van, but it looks a very good van. It was a Mercedes cab, but it's like scary. And then I thought it was 14 minutes to walk, but I could barely walk 14 minutes, okay? And I didn't know where to. And in the middle of the road, I tried to get out of the car. And he says, no, it's traffic, we are there. Is he here? I know. Then from there, they gave me a train ticket. Say, get yourself your name. You need to get yourself a name on a list in Transformatorweg. And they come back. Fortunately, I had a Polish couple that were traveling back there that they knew where it was. But otherwise, I would get lost again. In which case, it would be preferred to jump to a canal and hope that I will freeze to death. Then at the INO, I ran into the article about the defreeze. I tried to channel his death, and that's it. This country is North Korea. Anyway, but you see, for now, it's not like I have channelings and this and that. Not that the intermit, the channelings, the intermit, okay, everything. But you see, every time this Ido tries to do something, I wake up with my eyes like this, and I'm like, if the eyes is to try to have injustice on the way that you are perceived. And every time the conversation comes to another detail about Peter. I don't know why. And they wanted to kidnap me to one of the city centers. I know that they kidnap people to there and try to... Oh. Yes, in Soviet China. Blanc Rosé. So they got that betrayal. Now, who was another person that Peter said is salt of the earth? Joris Demming. Now, if Peter betrayed the Tachi, he would betray Demming. And it's not like Peter intended to betray Tachi. Just a state witness, he has a family. It's a crown state witness. He has a family. Now you understand that crown state witness, it's not like it in... Okay. There's the guy that tortured there, being beat up against this Tachi person. Of course they're going to turn Peter. A handsome man will turn to Peter. So Peter agrees to help this guy that has a family and so on. Because they have a procedure. Okay? And we got to ask ourselves, why is that woman that beat up her rapist, there's nobody helping her even... Okay? She would need to turn to Tachi, basically. To protect her, she would need to turn to a crime law to protect her. Maybe it was told to her on the law, I don't know. I only see what the footage is. I don't know what's behind the scenes. Okay? There's always things behind the scenes. It can be that the PSF can't help us, no evidence, but later you send somebody and says, you see, there are people that take care of the women, that they cannot commit a crime against women. Yes, these people, they sell drugs sometimes. Okay, but maybe one of them can help you. Maybe he said that. I don't know. But this is where, it's like in Italy, okay? Who do you go to? Well, you have to go to the mafia. Some of them double agents as well. The minute there is sex trafficking, the minute money changes hands for sex, then you know intelligence is involved. That's it. Because it builds on the sexual energy, getting the kundalini upside down, and then using that malefically. It's an inversion, because you work on your kundalini energy and the sexual energy, and they manifest good things with it, then they try to get at your energy. So the minute money changes hands for sex, intelligence is involved. I know it kills a lot of romance for a lot of people. I was also watching Pretty Woman. Okay? Everybody, it's a nice movie. Yeah? But the minute money changes hands for sex, intelligence involved. So much so a person masturbates. They raise their sexual energy. Intelligence try to leech on that. Person cannot freaking self-pleasure. And you get the inversion of everything. Okay? And you think a lot of people are tortured and so on. I want you to listen to Alice in Wonderland programming and the meaning of Alice in Wonderland programming for the Jesuits, but it's also done in a different way for Masons. It's called a monarch. Monarch is MK, which is Mason. So yeah. What happened if Peter would betray Deming? What would he betray, according to Hans Madma? Mole X. Okay? So they killed him like they kill a woman who escaped her husband. A lot of women and men deal with that, and they call it domestic violence. Darling, your husband is intelligence. That's why. And he's doing crazy lunar magic. Lunar magic is not a problem. Lunar magic, the moon manifests things. So when you plant with the moon, yeah, but they're doing that inversion of lunar magic. So when we say ritual abuse, okay, it's not a ritual abuse, it's an abuse of ritual. Your husband was intelligent. This is why they all act the same way. Also, the psychologist you go to heal from it, I know it, Amarion. And then he feels like it's a zombie apocalypse because you cannot be initiated to a secret society without being initiated to intelligence. They give you all these weird programmings, and you cannot do any job without being intelligence. Right now, they try to recruit everyone to intelligence. Say, I don't consent, I never consented, and so on. This is why it was so tough to get willing consent on the board, because if women don't accept what men accept, men will be liberated from the dumb fuckery. That's why do they consider a person like me a risk? Because when the Me Too happened, I wasn't looking to break discourse with everyone, but to make discourse with everyone. I said there's an intergenerational gap. Maybe they need communication skills. Maybe I didn't know they were intelligence, okay? Anyway, we'll see. But when I know that with satanic ritual abuse, I say, okay. But if everyone is like that, they're planning to make everyone like that. We need to talk to people, okay? And so, for the people inside, it's not like, that somebody comes to correct info, that somebody comes to rescue the child, because I don't know what to do. Okay, I'm not savior. I'm just another human being dealing with that. But we also know that programming exists, and they tend to expand on it. And it's not a good life living like that. Even for the drug lords that provide the supposed curation. But this is when they get to willing. When I say willing consent wins the race, because willing consent is not a programming. It's not the arousal you get from trauma, because it's basically the arousal is meant to reduce the traumatic experience, the friction. It is not it is not people pleasing. It is not the thing that breeds candida and yeast and some STDs increases. okay? Because your immune system is weaker when you're not on will and consent. That's why they do that also. So, and it's about tending to that, because it seems like a mountain, but the person doesn't even know where to begin. And it's okay, I'm here with you. Look at, I can't freaking self-pleasure either. Okay, I'm not coming from superior position, coming from, I'm on that journey as well. And when we tend to will and consent, and we understand what man, woman, two gender non-conforming, did you know that for the Alice in Wonderland programming, they tortured the fetus in the womb? The first personality splits are in the womb. Then torture the fetus outside the womb. That's the monarch programming. When they didn't get the child in the womb, they tried to get it from mind control from afar. And they used remote viewing for that. And then CIA had problem to train remote viewers because they were afraid of religious persecution. So they did one hand with the church. You don't know that, because I did an essay on ESP and comparative study with China, Russia. You could barely get information on Russia, and the USA. For China, they use it for engineering and diagnosing medical diseases. So the inversion of that, you understand. And for the CIA, they had a problem. First of all, ESP, okay, extrasensory perception is a sense, but they're doing it to torture. You don't need to be tortured to have ESP. Children naturally have these senses. But it was used malefically, so people could not do it. So they had to keep torturing them. But then they would get a fractured picture. This is why it's all coming down as well. And then people were afraid of the church persecuting them, because the church says that this is devil work. This has no problem. We're Christians. Why you hear? Why Donald Trump talking about Jesus? The church with the horns is the church without the horns is the same thing. Because this is why. I get the story of Ronald Bernard. Listen to Ronald Bernard. Okay? He was born. His father, yes, very likely, I don't know, after the war, I don't know, parents, the mother could love the son, but the father, she didn't know what love, okay? So, yeah, the son, and the son, she was like, the first time she was able to love. And the father was so jealous of the son, he began to beat him and so on. So the son began to mistreat people at school, became a violent child, taken, child at risk, taken to some church. They rape him. Goes away from that. He's to make money from his mom, for his mom, okay? His mom was afraid that the husband will murder her and commit suicide and murder Ronald. So what he does, he needs to make money. He says, meets a guy. The guy tells him, no problem, you can make any money you want, but you're gonna have to freeze your consciousness to minus 100 degrees. Then he gets initiated to these satanic shows. They make all kinds of rituals with girls. He likes that, when you get to touch a girl, right? Without money. Change his hands. But that would be espionage, okay? But the money to make it yourself, you make both the money and you touch the girls, oh my God, okay? He likes that, okay? Going on, but they do horrid things. But at that point, he was so tortured that he's like, oh, fuck it. Let everybody suffer. Okay? But then they reach a rank. He was banker, and top banking is criminal. And he reached a rank where they have to harm children. And he says he tries to kill himself at this point because he remembered when he was. So he bifurcated not to hurt children. But at the death camps where they're tortured from the womb, the children are programmed already to hurt children. Okay, that's the difference. And so he tries to kill himself, and he wants out of the cult. His contracts both in the light and the dark. None of the contracts in the dark is valid, but still there are people that enforce that, so I can't say names, tortured very, very malefically. Now he has to support himself, so he has to be affiliated with crime to make money. And he speaks to this council, to that council. All these councils are Rosicrucians. So this church is working with that church. They have spiritual warfare. What is spiritual warfare? People are being astrally raped right now. I didn't understand spiritual warfare. What is spiritual warfare? I didn't understand that. What is spiritual warfare? It was like, I'm completely, I'm possibility. You give me something good from Jesus Christ, I say wonderful. You give me something good, I don't know, Sufi culture, lovely. You give me something good from Judaism, fantastic. You give me something good from other tradition, wonderful. Okay? It doesn't matter. It's just to live a good life, be a human being. Okay? It doesn't matter. So people say spiritual warfare. I'm like, what is this? When you go to church in Netherlands, you have a pride flag, a Muslim symbol, a Jewish symbol, and a Christian symbol. Unfortunately, there are also Masons that probably do satanic ritual abuse. So they're very inclusive. But the ones that are not are doing the same satanic ritual abuse. And those that know, they call it's our culture. And they're doing the same satanic ritual abuse. So let me break it down for you in words that are feasible for people to understand. What they call spiritual warfare is people being astrally raped all the time. Then they tell you, turn to Jesus, cover your mirrors, cover yourself. And then they say, we're going to stop that if you turn to Jesus. What it means, they rape you to join them. You think they're going to continue to stop raping you if you join them. That's why I say willing consent wins the race. When you have a value of willing consent, no religion, no person, no programmer, none of that can touch at your willing consent. Not in the sense that they cannot rape you, in the sense that you understand that this is rape. And you don't let your religious beliefs decide for you if you are raped or not. Nobody deserves to be raped. Also, in the name of Satan, Lucifer, what would be the greatest betrayal? To get a person that's raped all these people for Lucifer and say, well, now I betray you. This is what they do in Memento Mori, the death cults. The ultimate betrayal. You give all this for money and fame, and it doesn't work. But that's the truth. That's how it works. It works in a way that it doesn't work. And this is why it doesn't matter what you wear, what your gender, who is God, who is in the government, who is not in the government. If they violate will and consent, here, that Ido Nevo, he framed Peter as this drug lord. Now, if Ido Nevo would show me, hey, look, you see that guy, he vouches for that guy, now see what this Deming did, and he would show me films. Yes, then I could think this Peter is a really bad guy. Be really, okay? But if this Ido Nevo rapes me, I say, it doesn't matter what you show me about Peter. I need to get to know this Peter myself. Who was this Peter? Because if you rape me, even if he's a bad guy, you're not the guy to fix the karma. If he hurt people, women, girls, I don't know, okay, let them speak. Let them have representation. Let them heal. But you're not the guy to fix the karma. When you're raping me, you are of interest. You want to replace Peter, be a bigger crook. If he is a crook, then you want to be a bigger crook. But what I see from Peter, that he takes the bigger battle, he speaks against something that nobody speaks about. The battle that no one is willing to fight, he's fighting. And from the inside, as an MK, as a 33, that he said to his son, I promise you I'll live to 100, he wasn't lying. He could tend to that to be centurion, you live to 100. Like Kissinger. What did Kissinger do to live to 100? Okay, it's not for nothing. He said, at this stage, Israel will not exist. At this stage, okay? What's the fingerprint? I missed that first lachafer. You see the fingerprint. It's the digital credit score. Okay? But the thing, for the Peter saw what this WHO is. Fuck Deming. It's a WHO, because Deming is just one mole X. You take down that one mole X. And what did I do when, for the Me Too? Everybody said, litigate for Ido. Yeah, he did very bad. He sits with you every Sunday in the bar. It's like, that was not a problem. Fuck. For litigate for that, No, for just one person was the dean. And he did sexually harass. But the thing is that the way for they were working, any person in the position dean would have to do the same. And I said we need to decentralize for the structure so people can get actual healing, actual recovery, and to release for the stress. Then he was trying to leech on me and I had to block him. But he told me, you turn to only the president of the university. That's what I did. That's how it got fixed. Because I said, they're not letting her speak. They're not letting you speak. They're beating you up against each other, making it worse. And I told him, listen, the days where you could do that with women, days are gone. Times are changing. They say, I told them, I hear from students, you're looking at them in a weird way, so please, tend to that. Times are changing. This is older than me. He could be my father. He could be the, the father of my father. It's like he's older than me. But that thing don't go. You don't harass women, you don't this, you don't that. I make that boundary very clear. But to say that thing where they don't even take the testimony, not your testimony, not their testimony, and I pit you up against each other, nobody gets the right to have actually, a discussion, because he had complaints about the process as well. Okay? And he was guilty. He was guilty. I believe her. He was guilty. I saw his behavior. Okay? Just like, you have to stop this. You can't abuse power like this. But we need to see, as on that, we need to decentralize the power. So that, because a person, he came from, I don't know what culture, what that, British. So you need to hold him accountable. There isn't the Brits are the ones that do the stealth sex, that they take off the condom and they rape people. You got the consent for sex, then you take off the condom, now we turn it into rape. The British did that. Then they choke people. but to death. Interesting culture. So, you see, well, that person later had me blocked from academic discourse thing because I was not getting at you. It wanted me to litigate at Edu guy. But you litigate for sexual harassment, for this, for that. No. Nothing. Let me. Said, I don't trust you. They work with the court system, they work with the police, I don't trust you. But it's not just that. Let's say I litigated. Let's say I would win the case, justice perfectly done, win the case, person to the guillotine. Done with that. No more Idonavo. Kaput al gol. Okay? Which is kaput al gol, yes, al gol. But the thing is, he's just a mole X in a system. And then they get all the ladies to gather around against me. I had 3 women litigating me for something to do with discipline. Well, for nothing. You look like, how do you say it? Charles Manson? Manson, the guy? Like the girls of Manson? No, seriously, lady, the guys would sit there. It had 3, 4 women next to them. You see, you have to understand. Are you sitting next to a person, or you're sitting somewhere else? Get yourself, get a little acquaintance with the room. If I see a guy that is like that, people flocking, I say, okay, they like a certain type of structure. Is this a structure I'm looking for? No. Then I look for another structure in the room. Just think a little bit. Unless you want that structure, it's just okay for you. If you want that structure, it's okay. There's just one person, all the women sitting around, like a red collar. Then he doesn't need to do anything. He sends the ladies. You are the ladies. And you say, why did Shirley allow him to get away with it? I didn't allow him to get away. It's just a one mole X in the entire structure, a Masonic structure. I didn't know it's a Masonic in the beginning. I got Masons. The secretary is a Mason. But I didn't. And people told me he's bitchonist. He's intelligence, but I thought it's security. The witchcraft that he did for me to encounter the DeFries family. His job was the matchmaking, okay? The amount of witchcraft that went into that. The funny thing, I was born in Israel, so I didn't know who DeFries was. He was one of the most important people in the Netherlands. And it was it was a people's person. He was very, like a person to person. It was not a tiny bit of snobbish nothing. He was the most important person in the land and the most, like, you see him how he interacts with people. It's just like, and even when I channeled him, but he began to help me with things like to show how to use the camera. If a person was holding the hand or somebody was holding the child in a weird way, so I put the camera. I didn't know about Hollandier, the way he filmed the Hollandier, and all these things. So I was like, and it took me time to understand that it is him. Only when I stole for these sneakers, and it was the two, and I'm like, what is two? I guess he was trying to tell me he was a double agent, but and he was very honest, because back then at first you don't have the filtering So I think that the initial information I got was really more accurate, and he was honest about everything. Okay, so and again, I think I don't know for sure, like what did I channel and so on, but the thing is, you see for all this help, this to say this, oh, that's this Peter guy, and I had no idea who was, and he showed me the fingerprint, because I would get omens of the fingerprint a lot, and I didn't get it. I was like, oh, my passport is biometric. Yes, that is that. I had no idea. 7.7 people viewing this show. Was the most important person in London. Was running for politics. I had no idea. So that was okay for the situation. And and to me, for I come from Israel. In Israel, for the pants to this, the criminal reporter is that column you have in the newspapers at the side. Okay, we don't even have true crime in Israel. I'm going to say it again. No matter how corrupt you think Netherlands is, Israel does not have an actual true crime industry. That's why I thought that Peter was the guy on the column. Sometimes you see him on TV, it makes sense. Then interviews with his son, with Royce, or something on football, I don't remember. And they like Ajax. And I was like, Ajax came to me from childhood. I thought it's a word I invented. Ajax. Because you understand that I'm not the biggest soccer fan from this. It's a very famous Dutch soccer team. And I'm like, oh, from Ajax, that's how he never knew him. Because he was sports and politics. And Ido was like in Liverpool, so it's red. They sent red on red. So they made basically Ido betray the Fries family. Okay, how do I know do this? When Jaguar Wright was talking about the music industry, they say the black on black for Jewish money. It's not Jewish, it's to cut dividends for the Vatican. But this is why when I told Royce, I was like, they're turning red on red. Okay, it's Jaguar. But the thing is, see, that Ido Devo, every time he tries to curse me, the veil is lifting. The story unfolds. Every time he tries to make me look being perceived differently, story unfolds even deeper. And they plan these things for years. Because I've bought this. But the thing is, I would think, hey, that guy's the guy from the column. Because in Israel, we don't have true crime. Only now I think about it. Israel, we don't have true crime. We can't do DNA. We don't have true crime. So you think about all the complaints that I have about Peter Oude Vries Foundation cannot receive in remote viewers. And the water expands upon cooling. Okay? Israel doesn't even have true crime series. We don't have a Misdat for Sachafer. We had the Kol Botek, which was nothing about murder. That guy stole that thing from that pan. That guy stole money. That guy stole money. That guy, who cares? Have people have safe housing, safe food. People won't steal stuff. In Israel, we don't even have true crime. None of that. Nobody tells. Not just Peter, because in Netherlands it's not just Peter. Peter was number one. There's an entire industry of true crime. Many, many people. Many, many series. Peter, Misdat for Slachver, was number one for every Sunday evening. 7.7 people watching the show. Okay? It was a cult show. But it's not that others are not in a cult. Okay? It's a cult show in the sense that 7.7 people watching. People still today, if you go to YouTube, Misdat for Slachver, People still say, every Sunday, I still watch this. They're still so used to that. It's a missing void in them. Culturally, okay? And they still tend to these crimes. This is why Pedar the Freeze Foundation exists, because people still tend to steal tips, but without remote viewing and telling how. And people were complaining about Peter. Why doesn't he tend to organized crime? Why do you say? It's because you don't even get where it's even beginning. You make all these cases one by one. That's the WHO. That's the WEF. That's the global intelligence. That's the attempt to slave humanity. All of these cases. Who is Martin? Vault Safe, you have Starlink. They can see for the kidnapped people, the hostages. Each and every person where they are. You don't even need remote viewing for that. In Israel, we don't even have a misdat verslaggever. We had a crime reported that was sexually harassing women, and then they closed it. And he was in the newspaper. No true crime in Israel. It doesn't mean that there isn't crime in Israel and that the crime is true. Like, only right now I think about this. It's not only that they didn't know who the guy was. When they gave me the title, what he didn't tell me anything, because in my country, it's another type of reporter. Of course, you need to be involved with crime to do this job, because somebody needs to vouch for you. And it can't be the police, right? Then I see what Peter was talking about for the police when it's not working right. But when because he lived non-monogamously, it was a story, some woman, married woman, she called the number for the staff to order in petit mode, okay? He comes right away. Police surrounds him. What's up, hero? What the fuck are they doing? Was anybody killed? Anybody? Not even anybody raped. A very willing consent woman orders something. He's coming to deliver. And people are like all around. Oh my God. That was all police. Entire police was there. Yeah. But when he needed not to be assassinated, or when a woman needs not to be assassinated, because if a woman would say, "You're coming to rape me," they say, "You probably want that." But she wants that, all the police is coming. So, you see, to have the willing consensual sex in the Netherlands may trigger the appearance of a flood of police officers at your door. So beware. Imagine what it is, sex with no money changes hands. Maybe the money for the cab or something. Because for rape, the money changes hands. Somebody pays to do that.